Hi there everyone and welcome along to Betfair's preview of Round 11 of the National Rugby League this week. I'm Mathew Thompson, Tim Gilbert's back in the chair, and how good was it to see the footy back at the SCG last week, Timmy? I was out there courtesy of the Tigers when they narrowly went down to South, but it was great to be back.
Yeah, it was gripping, wasn't it? Nearly 30,000 at the SCG. Couple that with what was a dramatic finish on Friday night, if not a finish which left a lot of people pretty upset, that Canterbury Dragons game, but a packed Cogra. It was superb, and Suncorp Stadium, near capacity there as well. So anyone that wants to tell you that there's rugby league is struggling at the moment on the field, it's certainly not.
You're out at Cogra, you didn't cop a beer can on the head, did you?
No, not at all.
You would have caught it and put it in your throat?
Yeah, reflexes of a panther, I would have caught it. But the bottom line is, I think that they had, it's not just, it's hardly rocket science. You're hardly going to call me a scoop to say that the Bulldogs fans had something to be a little upset about, and Stephen Clark since has been dropped.
Paid the price, perhaps. Now, we'll talk about this round to come. We've got the Rabbitohs up against the Eels, and the Rabbitohs favourites here with Betfair at the moment are around about $1.55. The Eels will be out beyond that $3 mark come kick-off on Friday night. Tough ask for South Sydney, I reckon, backing up from Sunday to Friday. What do you think?
Yeah, it probably is, but Parramatta was soundly beaten, weren't they, by Manly. They have the problem with Chris Keating's injury. They've got Jeff Robson, they've named Daniel Mortimer on the bench.
They've got Joel Ready at 5'8". I don't think he's ever played there in his life.
Daniel Mortimer hasn't even played a first grade game, so they've got him on the bench. Look, they've got their problems, Parramatta. I can't see the Rabbits being beaten here. They're playing with a great deal of tenacity. I know John Sutton's not there again, but Craig Wing played well, Michael Crocker played well. I just think the Rabbits have got him here.
Yeah, I agree with there as well. The Tigers up against the Broncos. The Broncos $1.38 away from home at Campbelltown, beautiful Campbelltown Stadium. The Tigers, despite clearly being the best team on Sunday, are $3.35 outsiders here against the Broncos, and you've got to say they'll find this very, very difficult, I'd suggest.
Yeah, John Skandalis makes his return, of course, the Campbelltown boy for the Tigers. We picked that a few weeks ago, saying that he'd probably play because he'd been playing for Western Suburbs. Yeah, this is hard. They do well against the Broncos, but I don't know whether they're going well enough to beat this Brisbane side, which has only really had a couple of blips all year.
Yeah, and young Blake Aceford will make his debut too in the NRL. A star in the Toyota Cup last year and has played well this year as well. So he'll come into the centres, but they've certainly got some problems in the back line. The Tigers.
Yeah, no, he's a good player, Blake, and a big guy and plenty of pace, but obviously very raw at this stage for first grade level.
All right, the Dragons against the Sharks. The Sharks at home here, and the Sharks, it's on the back page of all the papers, so they need a big crowd. And the local derby, if they're ever going to turn out, it'll be when the Sharks play the Dragons. The punters with Betfair don't think they're much chance, so they're $3 at the moment, and I reckon they'll get out in the market even more as the game draws closer. Against the Dragons, $1.36. They probably should have been beaten last week, but that was a high-quality game of football against the Bulldogs, and I think the Dragons will be winning here again.
Yeah, I agree with you. They will win this game, in my opinion, but the Sharks, well, you've got to give it to them. They're staying in there, aren't they? They're playing without luck as well. They've had so many close games, but yeah, the Dragons, their form's been absolutely gripping, and I think that they'll win this game.
No question. I think they're home and hose just about. Now, the Bulldogs against the Storm. This is an interesting clash, this one. The Bulldogs at the moment around about $2.12 at Betfair. The Storm at $1.75 is the market at the moment. The Bulldogs at home. Melbourne have been going great. I thought they were sensational on Monday night to beat a pretty average Canberra team. They're not hopeless here, the Bulldogs, though, I don't think. I think they'll be a big test for Melbourne.
Yeah, and they'll be hurting after what happened last Friday night. I just really like Melbourne on Monday. A lot of these Origin guys are starting to hit a bit of form. Greg Inglis scoring that long-range try, and Billy Slater was outstanding. I think Melbourne in a narrow one over the Dogs.
Yes, we're agreeing too much here. What's that? First four. We're all agreed with each other.
This is somewhere we might go the other way.
We'll see. The Panthers against the Roosters, $1.45. Penrith, the Roosters, $2.80. That'll be the market early in the week with Betfair. Of course, these prices are likely to get better as the games draw closer at the weekend. Penrith at home against the Roosters, who can't get out of their own way at the moment. The Panthers are morals.
Yeah, well, we're not going to disagree, are we? I've got to pick the Panthers at home here. They're playing some attractive football, and they'll beat the Roosters.
The Roosters, what's he going to do, Brad? Fifth, they're in the paper today. Nick Politis has come out and said, well, he's not under any pressure. We're going to give him the chance to make sure things are corrected at the club. We're not playing as well as we might like, but what's that, the old full support of the board quote, is it, Timmy? Or?
Well, it's amazing, wasn't it? Like Brad Fittler entered coaching and just had a halo, didn't he? Everything worked out, but it's at times like this where you're really tested and your medal as a coach, not only for now but for the future, is marked by people. Brad Fittler obviously was one of the great players. He showed plenty of fortitude as a player. No doubt he can work his way out of this, but it's a struggle.
All right, we'll head to Sunday, and at Canberra Stadium, the Raiders will host the Warriors. Canberra. Gee, I don't know what's happened to them. I know they're a bit down on manpower, having lost some players, but they've been pretty ordinary this year, you got to say. I've been waiting for them to come good on the back of Terry Campese in particular, but his form's been down the last few weeks. They play the Warriors. They're $2 at the moment. The Warriors $1.90. I think the money will come for the Warriors as the game draws closer on Sunday. I know the home ground advantage is a big one for Canberra, but I think they need a bit more than home ground advantage at the moment.
Yeah, they won't get my money, the Warriors. I think the Raiders were poor, no question, against Melbourne, but they are back home. And look, Terry Campese and Alan Tongue. Alan Tongue was right in line, wasn't he, for Origin selection? You'd have to think he still is there somewhere. But yeah, I think they'll get back on there.
You'll tip them?
Yeah, I will. I'll tip the Raiders to beat the Warriors. The Warriors weren't good at all last week.
No, they weren't. I'm going to tip the Warriors anyhow. I think they'd be good enough to
bounce
back and beat Canberra. One of us will be wrong. We might all be wrong for the first 5 games. The Titans against the Seagulls here. The Titans are favourites at the moment with Betfair at $1.85. The Seagulls $2. The Gold Coast, they get Bailey back. Who else is back? They've got LaFranchi back, so 2 Test stars come back into the team. They're at home. Manly, though, they've started to show signs they might be coming back.
They are. It should be beauty. Really looking forward to this game. I'm going up for that one. Again, a bit like the Rabbitohs Tigers, I find it hard to split them because Manly were very good against Parramatta and they're starting to get those combinations going. They really struggled, didn't they, without Brett Stewart and trying to find a suitable replacement. But, yeah, the Prince factor. I love the Prince factor. I think that they'll get there. They'll get there in a close one, the Gold Coast Titans at Skill Park, because it really has become a bit of a graveyard, if I can throw a cliche in for you.
Yes, well, they've got big Tony Williams coming into the team this week, Manly, the guy they bought from Parramatta last year. I think he's had 1 game this year, but he struggled a bit with injury. He's on the wing.
The T-Rex.
Yeah, the T-Rex. He's an enormous unit. I'm going to tip Manly to win. I know the skill part, hoodoo might play a factor here, but I think they're coming good, the Seagulls.
On the back of the T-Rex, okay.
Well, not necessarily on the back of the T-Rex, but I'm just tossing that up. There's a bit of extra information for the punters out there.
You wouldn't want to be paying for his food bill, would you?
No, you wouldn't. And every other cliche you can pull out. We'll head to Monday night as well. The Cowboys against the Knights. That wraps up round 11. The Cowboys at home after a sensational performance against the Warriors over there in New Zealand. They're $1.70. And the irresistible Newcastle Knights are outsiders again. They don't seem to cop a tip, the punters, do they? They keep offering up attractive odds about the Knights to come out and win. But this will be a sensational affair, this one. Where do you go here?
Should be beauty, and of course the Origin teams, or the New South Wales side, named in half-time of that game, and you would think that Kurt Gidley, who's going to lead the Knights up
at
there...
half-time?
Yeah.
Is that how they're doing it?
Yeah, and then, they're all going to meet, they'll converge on Melbourne the following day, because that first game's at Etihad on June 3rd.
That's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard, naming the Origin teams at half-time.
Okay, well, that's probably a discussion for another time, but right at the minute, you want to pick here. I actually think that the Cowboys will win. I tipped against them last week, and you should never tip against a side when you've got Jonathan Thurston in form, and I did that last week because he's been mixing his form up so much this year, but he seems to be getting the consistency together, and on the back of him and guys like Luke O'Donnell, who are also pressing for Origin selection, I think that they'll narrowly get home against the Knights.
Yeah, I'm too low to tip against Newcastle. I really am. I think the Cowboys might just sneak across the line at home, but I would not be surprised at all if the Knights continue their outstanding form and win this game. So that's the way the round... I just said I'm tipping the Cowboys.
Okay, well, you didn't really. You sort of sat on them.
No, I said that I'm going to tip the Cowboys, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Knights won.
Okay.
Now,
tip from the Cowboys.
We should say too, the Origin series, they're being named at half-time there, as Timmy's just enlightened us.
Queensland named the following day, New South Wales named at half-time.
Right, well, whatever you think of that, I can tell you the money has been flowing for Queensland. They've tightened up again this week. They're $1.56 to win the series. New South Wales are $2.90. They haven't even picked the teams yet, Timmy.
Well, the thing is, this Queensland side, you look at it, it's got the Australian backline, one of the great backlines of all time. But I like the way the New South Wales side is looking, particularly their forward pack. When you think of the back rowers, and Craig Bellamy, he's a guy that wins, isn't he? So, and no team has gone 4 in a row. It's going to be a great Origin series. Understand why the odds are the way they are because of the star-studded nature of the Queensland side, but don't be surprised.
All right, Betfair.com is the place to go for all the best odds with your rugby league betting coming in round 11. Should be another great weekend of rugby league. Of course, the premiership market up there at the moment. The Storm, premiership favourites, they've tightened up again into $5.80. They were $6.80 before they beat the Canberra Raiders, but the punters are starting to walk to Melbourne, who are playing some good footy. Thank you.
Great to be here. Enjoy your football.
See you later on.